guys, it's Cheer, and today I'm going to be going over my clothing system that I used on the Pacific Crest Trail in 2019. So a little bit of background before I start. I had some pre-PCT gear videos, and then I updated everybody as I went along on trail. I had weekly updates about gear and just what I was going through. And then now these are my final cut versions of my gear video. So this is the clothing system today. So also, as a little bit of a disclaimer, what worked for me won't work for everyone. This is just meant to be a general guide for people who are interested in backpacking or are interested in thru hiking for the first time. So with that, let's get started. This is the clothing bag I used, and it's a 8-liter Sea to Summit bag, and it's waterproof. So that's pretty important to have a waterproof bag for your clothing, especially for your sleep system, because you do not want that to be wet. That could be a dangerous situation if it's really cold and all of your stuff is wet, especially your clothing. So waterproof sack. And then I'm gonna go through, in this sack is what I used daily, and then I'm gonna go over some of the things that I swapped out, or seasonal gear in here, and then I have a couple things in my pack I want to show you too. So let's do this first, because these are the most important things that I used pretty much the whole trail. So first, of course, socks. So I have 2 pairs of Darn Tough socks. I also used Injinji Socks, and those were really great too, because they had the little like toe places to put each toe, which was great for preventing blisters. So I definitely recommend the Injinjis. I don't have any with me right now, but I use the Injinjis for probably about half of the trail, and I love them so much. So I usually carried 2 pairs of socks. At least in the desert, I carried 2 pair of socks. Because I wasn't fording many rivers. So what's great about carrying 2 pairs of socks is if you ford a river and your shoes and socks get wet and everything, you can switch out a dry pair into your trail runners, or what. If you're wearing boots, that's a different situation. But if you're wearing trail runners that are breathable and that are not waterproof, the socks will dry out. The dry socks will dry out your wet shoes pretty quickly, especially if you're hiking and your body's hot, of course, your feet are hot, of course. So it's really great if you want to dry your breathable trail runners, if you have those out after you ford rivers. So 2 pairs of socks. In the Sierra, which I'll go over in a second, but I carried more pairs because I was fording a lot of rivers. So my feet were wet a lot in the Sierra. So we'll go over that in a second. And on the note of footwear, my shoes, I use Brooks Cascadias, and these are the 13s, which I highly recommend. Of course, this is all subjective because everybody's feet are different, but these wore very well on trail. I got 500 miles out of each pair. I did try the 14s, and the Cascadia 14s did not have as much a solid foundation. It was more mesh, so it was lightweight, which was great. It was lighter weight than these, but I ended up tripping over just like a little root on the ground in Washington, and split all the way across. The shoe split, so my toes were exposed a lot. So I don't really recommend the 14s, but if you can find a pair of 13s, or if they came out, they might come out with a new pair, the 15s, maybe this year in 2020, I'm not sure. But might want to try those and skip the 14s, because a lot of people were complaining about those on trail. And recently I've switched over to Hoka 11 Torrents, and that's TBD, but I'm really liking those too for trail. Moving on, so I had a lightweight buff, and this is almost like a warm, or a cold weather buff, excuse me. And there's a fleece lining in here. So I had 2 buffs that I carried. I'll go over the other one in a second because it's on my pack. But this buff was great for when I was sleeping and it was kind of cold, or anytime it was kind of cold in Washington, mostly, and the Sierra. So love my cold weather buff. Had that with me the whole trail. And then, love this. So I had a Nike sun shirt. And what's great about, well, any shirt really, if you're hiking along trail and you're in the sun a lot, and I'm very sensitive to the sun, so I love to cover my neck. So this is a high neck zipper, if you can see that. So it was great because I would find when I wasn't wearing something with a high neck, I ended up getting this in Bend. So it was well down the trail. Because I learned that when I was hiking, the back of my neck would get burnt so much. So I'd have to keep putting sunscreen back there or put my buff around my neck. So this just prevented that whole situation from even happening. So love that. And then I found that I started off with sun gloves, and you won't see sun gloves anywhere here because I ditched them when I bought this shirt in Bend, Oregon. These have little, I'm gonna put this down. These have little thumb holes, so when you put your hand through, it covers most of your hand so you won't get sunburnt. So I did not need to carry the extra pair of sun gloves anymore because I had this shirt. So definitely recommend, it doesn't have to be Nike, it could be something a lot cheaper. So this is where you could potentially save money too, is just your clothing system in general. So I recommend if there's one place where you wanna kind of save a little bit of money, clothing system could be it. So it doesn't have to be expensive, just as long as it's not cotton, because cotton does not insulate when it's wet. So that could be dangerous. So as long as it's not cotton, and a high neck, thumb holes is like the magic combo, at least for me, when I'm hiking a long trail. So loved this shirt. Speaking of shirts, I also had a merino wool. This is a Smartwool, but just anything wool would be fine. Just a short sleeve shirt. And unfortunately, there's no high neck on here, but that was okay because I didn't wear this all the time. I just wore it when it was hot or when I was going into town. And the great thing about having, I think this is a wool blend, but wool in your hiking clothes is this. I actually didn't know this until I talked to a hiker. Where was that? I think it was in Bishop, so well down the trail. I didn't know that merino wool insulated when it was cold and kept you cool when it's hot. So it really is temperature regulating, and I had no idea. So I just thought wool was like, you only wear wool if you're cold and it's winter time. But you can actually wear this in the desert when it's hot, and it'll help you temperature regulate. It's temperature regulating it. It's also anti-stink, so it's antibacterial, and I found that to be true when I wore this shirt. I didn't smell as bad. So really great. Again, this is a Smartwool, and I'll link everything at the bottom of this video too, so check out those links if you have a chance. But yeah, this is a Smartwool top that I got from REI. Shorts, very important if you want to keep cool too. I didn't wear these all that much because I am pretty fair and sensitive to the sun. So I ended up maybe wearing these once a week or twice a week. But I really love them. I use them as a bathing suit too because it's also lined. So yeah, loved having these shorts for when I needed them, but I didn't wear them all the time. Some people wear shorts the whole trail and don't even carry pants. So that's something if you want to go lightweight, you could mostly wear shorts and bring your rain pants, because rain pants, and we'll go over that too in a second, but they keep heat in. So you could, depending on the year, the 2019 on the PCT was pretty snowy and rainy and cold. So I was glad to have another pair of pants that were more insulating, but you could possibly get away with just having, if you're going ultra lightweight, a pair of shorts and a pair of rain pants. A lot of people actually did that on trail. Love my shorts. These are Lululemon, but of course you don't have to spend a ton of money. These are probably 10 years old, so I just repurposed them. But again, you can save money here on the clothing system. For the ladies, I wore a sports bra. I went through quite a few sports bras on trail because I ended up throwing them in the dryer because when I was in town, I wanted to dry all of my stuff very quickly. And technically, you're not supposed to be putting this stuff in the dryer. So what would happen was they would get really big and the fibers would stretch out. So I started with a couple Lululemon, no, just one Lululemon bra, and then I went over to an Athleta bra, which again I got in Bend. I went to there's a mall in Bend with an REI. So, and also an Athleta store. So got the Athleta. I thought it was very cute and supportive, so definitely recommend Athleta bra if you're female. Lastly in here, my important clothing are my pajamas. So this was great. It's, oh, what's the brand? It was a little bit expensive, but lasted me the whole trail, and still going strong. Very nice fabric. I think it's Odlo. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's Odlo. So again, I'll link that at the bottom, but very comfortable. I love this thing. And what's great about it too is it has like a hood. So if you don't have a beanie for when you sleep, you could use the hood and it'll keep heat in. So loved this sleep. It's more like a sleep sweater. A little bit heavy, so you might want to go with a different option if you're going ultra lightweight. But that was weight I was willing to carry because, again, it was pretty cold on the PCT in 2019, so that kept me warm. Speaking of keeping myself warm, for my sleep pants, I went with Smartwool thermals. So these are great because I found I actually started off with a Patagonia Capeline layer, and the problem with that was it was see-through. So if I wanted to like get out and go to the bathroom either early in the morning or kind of when the sun was setting, I couldn't really do that because I was embarrassed about my pants being see-through. So these are not see-through, so that's why I ended up going with these. And again, very comfortable, very durable. So loved the Smartwool thermals. So that's it for what I carried pretty much the whole trail. So most important pieces of gear right here. So now I'm gonna go over more of the seasonal items. Kept in here. And something to note actually, this is an REI Duffel, and I ended up getting this for when I had to fly home. So what I did was I took and this is totally a tangent, but it might help somebody. I took my pack on the plane and I put everything in here that I wasn't sure I could bring on the plane. I put it in here and it was really lightweight. So I even, I shipped this to myself in Washington. I had REI send it to Washington and carried this for about maybe like 80 miles and it was so lightweight. So this duffel is really great. Side note. Okay, so seasonal items. I am gonna start with the pants. So these pants were really awesome, especially if you're female. These are trail tights from Bauer. Pretty thick. I wore these in the Sierra and it was very cold and snowy, so these served me well. I did find they're a little bit thick, so that it's very warm. However, and great, very comfortable for hiking in. But when I would ford rivers, and the rivers were very high in this area when I was in there. So a lot of times, pretty much the whole pant was wet after I was done fording a river. They took a long time to dry, so that's something to consider if you're kind of thinking about maybe going with these pants. But otherwise, really great. Very warm, like I said. They have awesome pockets on the side that fit your phone. So it was great because I didn't have to go into my pack to get my phone, like the hip belt pockets. I could just put my phone right in my pants so it was ready to like take photos. So love that. And again, higher waisted and very comfortable to hike in. So loved those. In the desert section, I started with these pants and I still love them to this day, even though they're totally worn out. But and discolored. These started off to be very, very light gray. Now they're kind of like a brown. But these are ExOfficio pants. And they're extremely, extremely lightweight, which is why I chose to wear them in the desert. And they were wonderful. I wish they lasted, well, I guess I have to say the pocket gave out, but that's I guess the only thing that failed on these pants, and I wore them for 702 miles, so they actually did a pretty good job, but very lightweight. They're like the I forgot exactly what they call them. I'll link it down below, but they're like the anti-bug pant. So that was nice, and very easy to hike in. The ankles are cinched in so they don't get in your way. It's not like a boot cut pant. So highly recommend these pants if you're gonna do some hot weather hiking and you wanna cover up your skin. So I didn't wanna be putting sunscreen on my legs all the time. I didn't wanna carry all that sunscreen. So this negates having to do that. So definitely recommend those pants if you're gonna be doing hot weather hiking. And last pant, I bought these in Bend. Did a whole shopping spree in Bend because I had to replace some of my clothing items. But I love these pants. These are North Face and they're kind of cinched on the side. They look weird on the hanger, but they actually are really flattering on, very, very comfortable, very quick drying. I fell into a couple of rivers with these pants on and they dried very quickly. So I loved these North Face pants and they're very durable, still going strong. So recommend these. I wore these from Oregon to Washington and love them. All right, let's move on to tops. So I wanted something a little bit lighter, but kind of more of a mid-layer in the Sierra. So particularly in the Sierra and in Washington, when it was a little bit colder, I wore this as, actually I wore it as a base layer. So I just had my bra underneath this and then I put my puffy over and it was definitely warm enough. So this is just an REI brand top, lightweight, but it is a midweight, technically. And then this is, of course, the higher neck, which is what I was looking for. There were no thumb holes, but I was okay with that. I just wore my sun gloves for that part. But yeah, highly recommend, very lightweight, very quick drying. So, and it was also very flattering on. So again, I'll link that up below. Okay, and another fun top I just wanted to show you guys. I didn't wear it for very long, but I think it's kind of a tradition for some people hiking the PCT to wear like a crazy print t-shirt. So I found this thrifting in Oregon, and so I wore it throughout Oregon. But this is a really cute like Hawaiian print shirt. There's actually bananas and pineapples on it. So this is just a fun thing to carry and wear sometimes in Oregon. And of course it's adding weight, and I found as I was hiking I added a lot of weight. So I added sandals sometimes. I think that was in Washington. I added some sandals. So I found that weight wasn't as big of a deal as I thought as I was hiking, but that's just a personal thing that I went through. So ultralight's great too because it's not as bad on your joints, etc. But I just found like if I'm going to be a little bit more comfortable or have a little bit more fun, I'll add a little bit of weight and it's not a big deal. Okay, and then this trail dress. So this is also a Smartwool, very lightweight. I really liked carrying this. I didn't wear it very much though. So if you're going ultra light, maybe don't carry something like this. But this was great for laundry days in town when I didn't have anything else to wear, just so I wouldn't have to wear my rain gear. Because wearing your rain gear is extremely hot and sweaty, not comfortable. So I opted for this Smartwool. I call it my trail dress. I also went swimming in this a couple times too, and I wore it on trail a couple days, but otherwise it was mostly for laundry days in town, so I don't have to wear my rain gear. All right, and then moving on to socks for cold weather. So in the Sierra, I mentioned it was very wet and lots of stream crossings, so I just got these on Amazon, waterproof socks. And so these were really valuable actually because they also insulate very well. So, you know, I did hear, I think a couple weeks before I entered the Sierra, in the beginning of June, there was a huge snowstorm, a late snowstorm. And so there were people getting frostbite, and the ones that got frostbite on their toes, at least the ones that I talked to, didn't have waterproof socks. So this could actually, this is not like a doctor's disclaimer or anything, but just by what I heard, this could potentially help you prevent getting frostbite. So that's something I didn't know about when I ordered these. But they served me very well through the Sierra. When there were littler stream crossings, these kept my feet dry. But just know that if you do get waterproof socks, your feet will still be wet from your sweat, but they won't be like soaking wet from the water from the river. So use at your own discretion, of course. Some people don't want to use these, and that's fine, but I found it to be valuable to keep my feet somewhat dry when I was crossing smaller rivers. If you're crossing a big river where, you know, the sock usually goes up to, you know, mid-calf. So if you're gonna ford a river that's higher than mid-calf, then the water will just get in these socks. So what I did for river crossings that were over these socks was I took my socks off. Actually, I put them on my pack, and then I just put my shoes on without any socks on to ford the river. So that's what I did, and then I put my socks back on to dry them out. So depends on the type of river crossing, but I found these to be valuable in the Sierra for the smaller stream crossings. And I also use, these are Injinjis, and you can see there's like the little toe sections here, but these are a sock liner. So I would wear the sock liner with the waterproof socks, and that combo really worked for me. Then gloves, I started off with these Sealskinz. They are waterproof. They're not particularly, I just found that I didn't really wear them often. I opted to wear most of the time my glove liners, and these are black diamond glove liners. So I ended up wearing these a lot because they're also screen compatible, so I could just use my phone and take photos or look at my Gut Hook app with my gloves still on, so my hands wouldn't freeze. So I actually opted to wear these most of the time instead. And I ended up sending these Sealskinz back home. So if you do want waterproof gloves, however, they don't insulate, but they are waterproof. So if that's something that you value a little bit more, then maybe go with the Sealskin gloves. Okay, so that's it for the seasonal. And then I'm quickly just gonna go over the stuff that I kept in my pack, not in my stuff sack. So really important. I usually kept my puffy jacket. This is a Mountain Hardwear puffy jacket, very lightweight. I usually kept this loose in my pack unless it was raining. If it was raining, and I do have a waterproof pack, so I didn't worry as much about that. But if it was like raining or downpouring, I would end up stuffing this into my stuff sack for a little bit of extra protection, because I personally didn't want to get my puffy very wet. But the puffy itself was amazing. Mountain Hardwear. Unfortunately, now the zipper is kind of broken, so I might send it back in to get it fixed. But otherwise, performed so well for the whole PCT. Very warm. Right when I put it on, I was warm. So very effective and very lightweight. And this is what a lot of people do use on trail because it's so lightweight. Something to mention too, I had, and I think I mentioned this in one of my other videos, but I had sleep down booties, which is such a luxury item, but they're very lightweight. My feet tend to get cold at night, so, or just really all the time. So I ended up splurging for these booties, and they were a little bit expensive. I think they were like $70, $60 or $70, but for me it was well worth it because I can't sleep if my feet are cold. So love these. And I kept those in my sleeping bag, rolled up. Okay, that's it for that. And then on my outer, so I call this my outer system of my pack. And so I actually have another video about my outer system, everything that I kept on the outside of my pack, but I'm gonna go over this since it is a clothing item, or a couple things actually. So this is my rain jacket. I actually started out with a different rain jacket that didn't have pit zips. So pit zips are very important because if you don't have them, at least my experience, I got soaking wet on the inside from my own sweat because the heat could not permeate out of the jacket. And so what ended up happening was, this was in the Angeles National Forest in the desert section. It was really cold and rainy that particular day when I first used my rain jacket. It was a Mountain Hardwear rain jacket. Very lightweight though, so that was great. But what ended up happening was it was so cold and I was wet from the inside from my own sweat that I started to get really cold. So I ended up opting for this North Face jacket, a little bit heavier, but it served me so well throughout the whole trail because of the pit zips. There's just so many great features on this jacket, and so it was a little bit of a splurge. It was maybe like, I think $90, but just well worth it, and it's still in really good repair. So I recommend the North Face rain jacket, or any rain jacket with pit zips if you want to just save money and not spend a ton on a name brand. Something with pit zips here to let the heat out. Let's see. Also, this is my normal buff, and it's the PCT. It's really cute. It's like the PCT version of the buff. So I got this at REI, and it's not bright white anymore like it used to be, but it's more of like a dirt color now, but still going strong. This was great for when I was hiking, especially. I mean, this is multi-purpose. But this was great when I was hiking in Northern California and Oregon because it was so dusty. So I would put this around my nose and my mouth to keep the dust from like getting in my mouth and nose. So, so many uses for a buff, and you can Google all those uses. I even use this to like mop up some water in my tent. So I saw somebody using this as like a bikini top when they were swimming. So many uses for a buff. So love that. Used it all the time, every day. I also had, of course, a hat. This is a very rundown Patagonia hat because it hit the sun, or the sun hit it all the time. And then, last but not least, my rain pants. So these are oh my gosh, and they're so dirty, I'm sorry. But these are anti-gravity pants, and very lightweight. These were good specifically for glissading. So they were great in the Sierra because it was so snowy. I put these on when I glissaded down mountains. So these were awesome. Extremely lightweight. They were a little pricey. I think they're around $70. You can check the link for the price check. What ended up happening at the end of the trail, so it lasted for most of the trail, but I split the back. So I had to, I don't know if you can see that, but mend with dental floss. So otherwise, they were great for 1 through hike, but that's probably all you could get out of these pants is 1 through hike. Okay, and that's it. So with that, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, leave those in the comments below, and I'll be sure to answer them. And yeah, this is my last PCT final gear video. So I hope you enjoyed, and again, reach out to me if you have any questions.